Hiya, and welcome back to Far Beyond the World. So far, actually, no, it would be the second visual novel that I've ever played where the love interest is possibly straight, but most likely bi. Anyways, I don't think I can say much else, so let's just hop right in. It's a struggle to open my eyes, but as I blink in the dim light of the room, I can see Ranok standing above me in full gear. Confused by the darkness, I look towards the window. It's still night. I have to leave before dawn. Why? I mutter groggily, still firmly gripped by my calm dream. I've taken morning patrol duties. If all goes well, I might return earlier than yesterday. Let me, close to my mic. There we go. I rub my eyes, getting out of the bed. Immediately, my teeth begin to chatter as the chill of the early morning envelops me. Fuck, it's cold. It's a wonder I didn't freeze to death in my sleep. Well, he looks at me with a cheeky grin. Oh no, what have I done now? We kinda spent most of the night spooning together. Not that I blame ya, furless little creep. He winks at me, ruffling my messy hair. For someone who claims to be straight as an arrow, he doesn't seem to mind getting intimate. Bro, he's brosexual. I'm sorry. Don't be. He waves his paw at me. As I said, I get it. It is a cold night. I seriously need to get some clothes. I'll talk to Verissa. Maybe she has a spare dress you could borrow. I give him a death stare. Not even remotely funny. He laughs me off, clearly amused by the idea. Who said it was a joke? I rub my arms energetically, trying to warm up, as Wolf takes curious glances around the room. I think he's only now noticing my exploits from the previous day. Is it just me, or did you clean the entire house? Oh, yeah. I mumble awkwardly. You don't have to do anything around here, you know this, right? He asks, almost as if my effort weighs heavily on his consciousness. Well, Vol might be calling me a piglet, but that doesn't mean I have to live in a pigsty. I blurt out cheekily, catching him off guard. He quickly laughs it off, giving me a teasing smirk. Well, forgive me, my lord, is my humble abode not to your liking? Oh, stop it. I shake my head as he bids me to follow with a gesture of his paw. Come. The wolf disappears into the other room and I go after him, hoping that the kitchen hearth is already burning. I'm relieved to see that it is, and I place myself next to it, my skin seeping in all the warmth it can get. I look at the wolf with confusion as he grabs a bowl from the table and stirs something inside of it. Verissa gave me an idea for a nice treat. Oh? I approach him as he invites me to inspect the contents. I gaze curiously inside the bowl and immediately recognize a familiar batter. Pancakes? I ask with glee. Mm-hmm. He smiles toothily as his tail gives an energetic flick. Glad to see she was correct. You've got morning duties, yet you woke up early to get the breakfast ready? He's so busy, yet still finds time to do something special just for us. Well, it's only fair after that lovely rubdown you gave me. The wolf rotates his right shoulder with clear relief. I feel like a newborn pup. I almost blush at the comment. Really glad I was able to ease him up. Still, I think he's only saying that to make me feel good. My massage was sloppy at best. And I need to compensate you for the complete makeover of my house. Again, he looks around awkwardly, clearly embarrassed that I cleaned. I watch as he rubs his hind paw across the wooden panels, causing them to squeak. The floor wasn't this shiny since I've laid it down with Vol. I just chuckle, shaking my head with amusement as I walk towards the cupboard to wash up. It was nothing really, gave me something to do. Oh? Well then, perhaps next time you could rehatch my roof. He proposes through his snark and I simply shrug. Sure, if you show me how it's done. I was only joking. He sounds almost offended. I honestly don't want you to do menial tasks around the house. Despite our circumstances, you are my guest. But how else am I supposed to earn a treat from you? I wink, really amused by how uncomfortable my housework made him. Honestly. I will feed you well, regardless of services rendered. Don't you worry about that. Ugh. He huffs and I finally face the water bowl. I thought you said you can't bring food home. Father gave me permission on the count of you being here. I reluctantly touch the water and blink. It's warm. I throw my head back to look at the wolf who smiles at me with satisfaction. I warmed it up for you. Don't want you cussin' again. He laughs and I quickly divert my gaze, getting slightly choked up. That wolf is being extremely considerate. Even with his paws full, he tries to accommodate me in every possible way. Speaking of paws, I've noticed him using both, without a clear dominant one. Are you ambidextrous? My, isn't that a mouthful? I wash my hands and throw him a confused gaze. I mean, you're using both paws equally. Yeah? Why? Nothing, it's just quite impressive. I cup some water with my palm, slushing it across my face. We're all trained from pups to use both paws equally. It's quite important for combat. Weren't you? He asks as I wash my face. Why would I be? Do I look like a soldier? You certainly don't sound like one. Ranok only chuckles while I shake my head and dry my skin with a towel. Right, I've got some blueberries and bacon. He points to the table where I find 2 plates with already prepared ingredients. I don't mind sweet foods, but I do need some meat with my meals. Well, you are a wolf. I chuckle. So, what's it going to be? Hiya! Oh. I'm sorry. So, what's it going to be? You want blueberries with yours or bacon? Ooh, how about both? He looks so excited. He looks very excited. Hold up. I need to add that as a thing in the corner. So I'm going to. He looks oh so excited. Like, he just has this huge smile on his face and I love it. He's such a goofy guy. There is no way this man is straight. There we go. Just adjust it a bit. I have to. And there we go. Special kind of bullshit is here. Ooh, how about both? I immediately think about the breakfast from yesterday. That combination worked fine for me. And if he has early duty, I don't want to waste such time fiddling with variations. Both sounds interesting, plus less hassle. My type of guy. I watch the wolf dump the berries and cubed bacon into the bowl and mix them energetically into the batter. Right. You'll do the honors. He passes me the bowl and walks off to fetch the iron pan. I don't think I've ever seen Diego show this much excitement. Actually, no, we have seen him show this much excitement. We have seen him show way more excitement about what was it called? Food, just food in general. Once he secures it in the fire, he points at the table. Grab a stick of butter. We need to grease it up. Sure. I nod, placing down the bowl and grabbing a large fork from the mantel. I impale the butter with it and approach the hearth. Ranok looks at me with joy as I press the stick onto the pan, melting its bottom side and gliding it across the surface. I cannot help but notice his tail swings each time I do something to his satisfaction. It's almost as if he's saying attaboy, which is kinda ironic considering only one of us is a canine. Once the pan is glistening, I return the butter back to the table and grab the bowl. Large ones or small? Up to you, my lord. Oh, give it a rest already. I scoff merrily at his tease and simply plop a large dollop of batter in the center. I never claimed to be a noble. You're the one who keeps spoiling me. Yeah, well, I might have an ulterior motive. Oh? Best way to jog some memories is to engage the senses. I chuckle, nodding in agreement. He isn't wrong. This does stir something deep inside my subconscious. I must have done this with someone back before, well, any of this. The homely feeling that fills my heart as I watch the pancake brown confirms it. Whoop! Ranok laughs as he flips the pancake in the air. I join his merriment, completely thrown off by how accustomed I've become to his antics. I simply shake my head and move the ready pancake onto the plate and pour another spoonful of batter onto the pan. I watch in silence as it browns, seeing Ranok give me a cheeky side-eye from time to time. His tail leaves no doubt that the wolf is really happy. Am I reading too much into this? Is it normal for a guy to be so lovable? I'm so helplessly confused. He definitely isn't straight. I mean, look at that. Look at that face. That is the face of a gay man. He is not straight at all. In total, we fry 6 pancakes, all the while the wolf shows off, flipping them flamboyantly into the air. I cannot help but laugh each time he tries to win my attention and approval. Once the food is ready, we sit down to the table. You can eat them on their own, or... He points to the 2 small clay pots. Sprinkle them with either one of those. Ooh, or both. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. He flashes his brows at me in another tease. I give a quick glance to the contents of each jar, both looking golden and clear. Honey? I guess, to which the wolf nods. And this? Birch syrup. I tilt my head in confusion, quickly realizing it's probably similar to maple one. Noticing my hesitance, the wolf removes a wooden dipper from the jar and brings it over to me. He holds his paw beneath, making sure the syrup doesn't splash all over the table. A red blush paints over my face quicker than I can realize. He's playing me like a fiddle. Try it. He encourages with a kind smile. I part my trembling lips, shyly sticking my tongue out to touch a golden strand dribbling from the dipper. A mix of floral and caramel-like sweetness hits me, and I close my eyes to truly enjoy it. I wasn't wrong. It is quite like maple syrup, although much stronger in flavor, bit more complex. You like it? I nod, covering my face as I lick the excess from my lips. Why are you being so seductive all the damn time? They combine quite well. The wolf smiles as he pours the syrup over his pancakes. True to his words, he then proceeds to glaze them over with golden strands of honey, and I am tempted to do the same when a thought occurs to me. How are we going to eat this without getting all gooey and sticky? I had some cutlery borrowed from the villa, so that my liege won't have to use his fingers. He reveals to me 2 silver forks, repeatedly raising his brows in jest. Ugh, you're unbelievable. Unbelievably thoughtful, you mean? Actually, yeah, but I'm not going to admit it. I will show him that the 2 of us can play this game. What do patrol duties involve? I ask absent-mindedly, drizzling my pancakes in the same fashion, strands of both the syrup and honey zigzagging across their surface. We check the force for any signs of intrusion. You mean any more of me? He laughs at the remark. There can be only one of you. He winks at me coyly, and I widen my eyes in embarrassment. I kinda reached my quota. Any more humans and even spirits won't be able to save us from the chopping block. Smooth save. I flash my brows to let him know I'm aware of what he's doing and simply dig into my meal, trying to conceal my blush. I cut off a piece of my pancake with a fork and then bring it up to my mouth. As I take a bite, I immediately close my eyes with satisfaction. Damn, this hits a spot and sends me down my vacant memory lane. Even though I cannot summon any images, I know I've had pancakes before. The delicious mixture of meat and berries, the syrup and honey, it's beyond description. I almost melt in the chair at the gooey delight bursting in my mouth with flavor. I'm brought back to the world of the living by the sound of his tail thumping against the chair. He looks at me with absolute joy, clearly happy that his treat did the trick. Thank you. You're welcome. The wolf nods, digging into his food. What else do you do on patrols? We keep an eye on the general health of the forest. We track the game, looking for any signs of disease both in wildlife and the trees. He explains, shoveling a whole pancake into his muzzle. We will move dry wood to avoid flame phase. I wince as Wolf struggles to speak with his mouth full. His casual manners are almost endearing, and I chuckle as he finally swallows the food down with a loud sigh. That sort of stuff. I watch carefully as he gets up and walks towards the barrel to fill up his mug with ale. We also do war games with other packs, exercise, and spar. I try to keep my pack well trained and ready for anything. He takes a sip as he sits back down. Your pack? Yeah, our tribe is divided into 6 packs. They're an elite group of 6 highly skilled wolves, warriors, hunters, and rangers. 7th being the Alpha, the leader. Who's your Alpha, then? He narrows his eyes through a bemused smile. I did say my pack, didn't I? The wolf reveals with a twinge of pride in his voice. You're the Alpha? I almost exclaimed, choking slightly on my food. And that surprises you? No, just wow. Ranok receives my praise with satisfaction. I mean, he's already impressive as is, but I smile. He's quite prominent within his tribe, no doubt about that. There must be so much pressure on someone so young. I guess this is why he's confusing when it comes to feelings. He doesn't want anyone to have any reason to undermine his position. Everything in his life conspires to box him up so tightly and then keep him like that forever. Is Vol in your pack? He snorts, looking at me with a mocking expression. Does Vol look like somebody who takes orders? Fair point. He's also an Alpha. Yeah, that makes sense. Our respective packs are actually competing for dominance. Doesn't that strain your relationship? Enhances it, really. We keep each other on our toes and in peak condition. Thanks to that, my father has two best packs in the entirety of Turnen. We're well respected by the other tribes. I blush, really amazed that I landed in the lap of those 2 impressive wolves. Oh god, I just got the joke. This is quite the company I found myself in. Not only they saved my life, but also risked everything in doing so. Their freedom, their positions, even their lives. At times like this, I really do wish I was a lost human noble. At the very least, I would have been worth all that trouble. We continue with our breakfast, Ranok going quite fast about it, almost devouring the food with loud, satisfying chomps. I don't know why, but something about his jagged fangs is almost enticing. I try not to be too obvious, so I sneak secret glances to admire his muzzle at work. Ugh, what is wrong with me? Right, gotta run, he says, emptying his mug in one go. He bangs it on the table and rushes off, ruffling my hair as he passes by. I'll try to be back by late afternoon. I already asked Father if I could dine with you today. We'll have our own little feast tonight. He's practically beaming at the revelation, and in all fairness, it lifts my spirits. Good luck on your patrol. I smile as he opens the door. I make my own luck. He winks again and leaves the house. Cocky bastard. I look down at my still full plate. I've barely gone through one of the pancakes. The meal is delicious, but also very filling. Not to mention, it's extremely early. Looking out the window, it's hard to gauge what time it is, but I bet it's somewhere in the range of 4 a.m. I gaze back to my pancakes, feeling rather reluctant to leave them unfinished. Not only Ranok poured a lot of effort into them, but also the syrup will change them into an edible mush within the next hour or so. I continue with my breakfast half-heartedly, feeling increasingly full. In all fairness, I've been eating very little since I woke up. Although I do sense hunger now and then, I find myself easily sated. Not to mention, my straying thoughts often lose my appetite. And just like that, I'm reminded that I'm alone. At least I'm not left in the darkness. After yesterday, this kitchen seems less friendly than usual. I tap my hands on the table, trying to figure out how to occupy myself. If my wandering thoughts are the cause of my freakouts, then I cannot stay idle for long. I don't suppose I could clean the house all over again. That would be lunacy. I sigh, reluctantly approaching the cupboard and picking up the blue tome. The Great Tiger Rebellion. What a title. How funny it would be to have pop quizzes based on this nonsense. They did those at a school. I can almost recall a classroom filled with chatter and laughter. The image is blurry, with faces blank and distorted, disappearing almost instantly into the ever-present nothingness in my mind. Huh. I was educated. I used to study a lot. I can't remember what or why, but I used to stay up late with a book like this, wake up early to catch up on my studies before an exam. Curious. Yes! Hang on, let me like group this. Group into folder. In this, Decision, folder expansion, whatever. And there we go. You had an amazing idea. Curious, I gaze around the room, realizing how familiar this setting really is. He was right. Best way to jog one's memory is to engage the senses. This little realization fills me with hope. If an early read can summon even a glimpse of my past life, then perhaps with time I'll manage to regain more of what was lost, the more activities we get to do. Ranok is quite smart for someone who was supposedly born with a sword in his paw. I wonder, do wolves even have a school? Should I mention to Ranok that I used to study, or really mock me once again for being born in high places? I can almost hear his la-di-da, young lordling read books instead of learning how to fight, or something along the lines. I just chuckle, shaking off this little sidetracking thought. I guess it doesn't really matter. I recline comfortably, set on giving the book another go. Apparently the first major battle of the rebellion took place right here, in Turnen. The Tigeri and Sylvan folk decimated an entire Leonine army within these woods. It was a first defeat dealt to the lions, which proved to the other kin of Avalon that their overlords are not invincible. From that point onward, the rebellion grew in scope, with more creatures banding together to overthrow the tyrants. The rest of the book is filled with dates and names, a very crowded parade of characters spanning nearly a century of conflict. I try to pay as much attention to detail as possible, but considering I really have no context for any of this, most of the information goes in one eye and out the other. I flick the pages idly, munching on the remaining pancakes from time to time. A long yawn interrupts my reading, and I look around to notice it's already quite bright outside. Resigned, I just close the book shut. Lions bad, tigers good, everyone lived happily ever after. Clearly, it's a biased writing and won't help me hold a proper conversation with Ranok, but rather only fuel his frustration. With day arriving in full swing, at least I don't have to worry about the dark. I approach the window and admire how nice it is outside. The weather seems absolutely lovely, and with not a single cloud in the sky and the warm sun reaching out to everything it can touch. I close my eyes and enjoy the warmth on my skin. I stay there for a few minutes, almost losing myself in the moment until the familiar nagging feeling stirs inside of me. Ugh, I really need a hobby. What do people even do in Home Alone? Protected from intruders! And 'tis not the season yet. I chuckle, shaking my head at another absurd thought to which I have no context. My gaze darts back to the books, and I'm really unsettled by the idea that all I have to kill time with is an equivalent of a foreign encyclopedia. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that it was much easier to be entertained back from where I'm from. I can't think of a single thing I would do, but I'm darn sure I wasn't this helpless. I really need to get out of this damned house. It almost feels as if the walls are watching me, waiting for me to lower my guard. I don't know why, but my breath slightly speeds up. I begin struggling for air as my windpipes clench shut as if Vol was strangling me again. An overwhelming feeling of dread falls upon me as I look around the room in fear. What's going on? I gasp, clutching my chest, feeling my heart pounding like a drum. My eyes tear up, and once I'm hyperventilating, I know the panic has already set in. No, no, no! Why is this happening in broad daylight? I'm losing control again. This is wrong. I cannot give in. Hey, yo. There's no escape. Yeah, I'm indicating the spacebar. There is no escape. I think it was only like blueberries and pancakes. I think that was all that was in there. Wait, is there like a drug version of blueberries? Is there a drug version of blueberries? Let me check. Are there any drug berries? I don't know. It's like not saying that there's like a drug version of blueberries. Is there like a poison version of blueberries? Virginia creeper is a fast-growing perennial vine that is found in many gardens. Its small blueberries are highly toxic and can be fatal to humans if eaten. What is this? Why am I here? We ate some Virginia creepers. You're already dead. Hello. We're just casually dead. Not much. You didn't miss much. We just had breakfast pancakes with Ranok, and now we're dead. No. No. This can't be real. Is this going to turn into like a Doki Doki Literature Club when Yuri just, you know, casually stabs herself? Is this going to turn into that? Let me go. Give in to your weakness. Hey, yo. I desperately draw in air, breathing heavily as if I just resurfaced from a deep dive. I feel so vulnerable and empty, as if all the joy and happiness got sucked out of me. I look around the kitchen, shocked that it's consumed by darkness and twisted in an unnatural way. What the fuck is going on? My heart jumps out of my chest as a torturous moan echoes across the house. Stop it! I shout out, tears flowing freely as I drop to my knees, huddled to the floor. Please, stop it! I beg to no avail. I feel watched, oppressed, as if someone stood above me, judging and finding me wanting. Ranok! I mumble out, hoping that the wolf could hear me, wherever he is. He's the only one who can make this go away. Through the memory of tender moments we shared, I slowly climb out of this pit of despair. That wolf, good and caring, is the hope I cling to. A hope that he'll walk in through these doors and save me. I grunt, feeling physically oppressed, as if something tried to push me down to the floor. My face is pressed against the wooden panels, the very same I cleaned. I can almost see my reflection on the glistening surface, remembering how awkward it made him. It hasn't been this shiny since I laid it with Vol. That's when I realize it is his house, built with love and care. A house he allowed me to stay in, to keep me safe and give me shelter. I push back against the invisible force, emboldened by this newfound resolve. I look back at the kitchen, my mind clearing and my breath stabilizing. I am safe here. This is his home. My determination grows stronger with each passing moment. You cannot torment me here. I shout out defiantly, vision of the gray wolf giving me strength to oppose the shadows. Go away! Yeah, but Ranok's like quote-unquote straight. I don't think anyone minds it. And just like that, the nightmarish vision dissipates as if it was never there. At first I'm stunned that I managed to banish it, almost cautious that it's just another trick. I rush towards the window, pressing myself against the glass. Dark clouds cover the sky, and a heavy slush of water fills my ears. It's raining cats and dogs out there, but it is still very much daytime. When did the weather turn? I rub my temple in confusion, trying to rationalize how I slipped out for so long. With a shaky step, I approach the table and sit down, trying to stabilize my breath. I wasn't drinking anything this time. Something is terribly wrong with me. I slowly begin to realize why my emotions shift so violently. There are those ripples of self-doubt and self-deprecation echoing across my mind, almost as if preying on my moments of weakness. Despite masking themselves as my inner thoughts, they feel so cold and dark that I slowly start to notice the difference. But how did the hours go by without me realizing? It's almost as if I were in a trance. As upsetting as this revelation is, I take solace in the fact that I can fight back. The gray wolf is the key in that struggle. The onset of heavy rain outside deepens my feelings of sorrow and loneliness. I decide to retreat to the bedroom where Ranok's scent is the strongest. It might be odd, but I need to feel the wolf near me, even if it's in esoteric sense. I sit myself quietly on the window ledge, looking at the soaked world outside. The rain rhythmically taps on my window, slushing down the glass and distorting the view. I hug my knees tight to my chest. I hate being alone. Whenever I'm sitting with my own thoughts, I'm instantly filled with terror. With no memories to go by, my mind is akin to the void, boundless and empty, and with so much space, the shadows roam free. I try making up some memories, some happy distractions. I think about days gone by when I would go out on an afternoon like this and run through the grass, getting wet and dirty, an imaginary friend at my side while we dance in the rain. I must have done that. Immediately I picture this friend to be Ranok, his fur soaked and dripping. I chuckle, wondering if he'd smell bad. Again, I feel warmth going down my cheeks in two streaks. I'm in tears. I feel so alone here, so helplessly alone. No parents, no people to call my own, just this wolf in his cottage. As lovely and adorable as he is, he cannot compensate for an entire life lost to the void. My friends, potential siblings, my mom and dad, in all honesty, I'm just an orphan at this point. I am so consumed by despair that I jump up when a familiar paw lands on my back. Ranok! I gasp, startled out of my skin. I try not to look at him to spare him the view, but I get a glance of the wolf's sad expression. You were crying again. I adjust myself, facing him with a brave smile. I rub my tears away and hang my feet off the side of the ledge. It's just the rain. I chuckle, not wanting to trouble him with my constant freakouts. He raises one brow and quickly looks around the room, paws extended to either side as if he wants to catch imaginary droplets. Doesn't seem to be raining inside. He draws a laugh from me. For someone so big and important, he can be such a goofball at times. But seriously, you're sitting in the dark again. The wolf grumbles, giving me a more stern look. I told you, it's not good for you. Preykin don't deal well with darkness, especially when distressed. Humans aren't preykin, are they? I narrow my brows in confusion. Besides, I didn't want to waste your candles for a silly rain. I make up an excuse, not really wanting to admit I was so far gone that my mind wasn't capable of a logical thought. Seeing my reaction, the wolf smiles awkwardly. I feel bad about leaving you all alone. I understand, you have duties. I look back at the world beyond the window. The rain doesn't let up, but despite that it's getting quite bright, as if the clouds are slowly parting. The wolf notices that too and lowers his head so that his muzzle can fit into the gap I've left on the niche. An hour or so, and it won't be so gloomy. I don't mind rain. I utter the words with a defeated tone. Rain can be nice, especially on such a warm day. Depends. Ranok sounds hesitant and forces me to regard him. It's strange seeing his powerful jaw so close to my face, his lips curved into an expression of discontent, one fang sticking out in that now familiar fashion. That's when I notice he's all wet, fur clumped together in soggy streaks. I can't help but smile at the sight of this damp wolf. I move my face closer almost to his cheek, which causes his eyes to quickly center on me. He is cautious, and I can feel a slight embarrassment, but he doesn't move. Once my nose is almost touching his fur, I take 2 quick sniffs. You don't smell. I muse with satisfaction. Should I? I pull away at his confusion. Don't know why, but I thought a wet wolf would smell bad. Ranok straightens up, looking down at me with a bold smirk. Oh? That's when he shakes his entire body, akin to what a wild wolf would do. His neck fluff and longer strands of fur dance around, setting droplets cascading in all directions, but mostly on me. Ranok, what the hell? I yelp out, as I'm being showered with this cold wolf and rainwater. Finally, the air fills with a subtle scent of his musk, dewy and reminiscent of a forest in the early hours of the morning. I look up at him, my skin speckled with rain, slight annoyance in my expression, and is quickly replaced with terror. Ranok, no! Don't you dare! My screams turn into squeals as the giant wet beast envelops me in his arms. I struggle in vain as he lifts me up with ease. He tilts us backwards, allowing gravity to do the rest. I sink into his waterlogged fur, struggling to breathe, my feet kicking in the air. I start laughing while he spins us around, dripping water all over the place. You're an idiot! I laugh as we finally come to a stop, and he plops me back onto the ledge. I grimace as the wet splat, and I realize he sat me down directly into a puddle that formed there. The loincloth is stuck uncomfortably to my bottom, with the cold sending shivers down my legs. I immediately jump off. Sad and something? He grins smugly. I try to shove him in retaliation, but despite putting real effort into it, the wolf doesn't budge, while I feel as if I just rammed a wall. Ranok simply laughs at my futile attempt at roughhousing. I would pay you back, but I'm afraid you'd fly out the window. I simply nod in agreement, looking back at the world outside. If we ignore the broken glass and splinters, it doesn't sound all too bad. Oh? He inquires with amusement. At least I would be out of this damn house. Are you not happy here? It's not that. You take great care of me. I couldn't wish for more. I shake my head, causing the wolf to smile in relief. But I'm slowly losing my mind here. When I'm alone, it's like the walls close in and whisper at me. What do they whisper about? His question causes me to pause, unsure if I want to unpack everything that's going on with me. I decide to brush it off in a half-teasing manner. That I'm inadequate? I reply in partial jest. Are you saying that my house is secretly throwing shade at you? That's probably because you refuse to piss on it. We wolves always mark our territory. Oh my god. Oh my god. He literally just admitted that he owns his house because he peed on it. It took offense. He sneers and I just chuckle. It's hardly my territory, is it? While you're here, my territory is your territory. Well played. But despite him lifting my mood, I really do need to get out of this cottage. Since we're both wet now, I look at him with a pleading smile. We could just as well go out for a walk, just a short one. Seeing him frown, I know it's not an option. He looks at me apologetically. We really shouldn't. Everyone knows I'm here anyway. You're not supposed to be seen. We'll go into the woods. No one will be there in this rain. Even if, let them see. Keeping me out of sight only adds to the rumors. How are the tribe wolves ever to see me for who I am if I'm being hidden like a dirty secret? They'll continue to fear and speculate as long as we continue this. I can see Ranok is unconvinced, standing there silent with his arms crossed. I'm not a prisoner, am I? I ask partially in jest, but also to make him understand how this situation is starting to feel. Of course not. He seems almost offended. And I'm not an embarrassment to you or anything. What gave you that idea? Again, I look out the window, this time a clear smile dawning my face. Then a walk will be lovely. Ranok approaches the window. I watch as his massive form passes next to me, his scent permeating the air. He rests one paw on the wall as he hunches slightly to look out. His ears splayed back as he turns to me with a pleading expression. You want to go out in this weather? Can't we wait until it stops at least? Then you'd say that too many wolves are about. I grin, gently embracing his free paw with both hands. He looks down at my gesture while I start tugging in the direction of the door. Come on, it'll be fun. Ranok remains hesitant, but eventually smiles back at me and allows himself to be pulled towards the doors. If I am forced to make up memories, might as well make real ones, with a real friend at my side. I don't know why I've said it out loud, but I'm instantly glad I have. Aww. That's adorable. The wolf's smile widens, his tongue slightly peeking out of his muzzle. Did he just blep at me? I can hear his tail swoosh behind us in excitement as it splatters the floor with more water. You go out front and I'll go through the window. I laugh at the absurdity of our little outing arrangement. Okay, just give me a moment to leave my gear behind. The wolf nods happily and walks off while I rush to the ledge and open the wings. Ain't risking it. We don't know how we will be dressed. The rain slushes over the sill, immediately creating a puddle that leaks into the room. I guess it'll give me an excuse to clean the house again. I push myself over the ledge, waiting for the wolf on the other side. The cool droplets contrast immediately with the warm breeze gently kissing my skin every now and then. This is quite invigorating. Oh, thank God he's wearing pants. I laugh as Ranok finally arrives in a starry state, his fur clumped and hanging heavily. Wet wolf. I laugh at him, forgetting that in this scenario he has the upper paw. His determined, challenging smirk proves that I've just made a mistake. Within a second, he's on me, enveloping me again in his soggy fur. And even wetter human. Yep. At first, I struggle in his embrace, only causing more water to drip onto me, so eventually I simply surrender. As Wolf pulls away with a cheeky smile, I cannot help but to laugh with him. You're such a pup. Said the tiniest adult I've ever seen in my life. He sneers and I just shake my head. Come on, let's go. I pull out his paw as he's still reluctant to move from his spot. I want to take my wolf for a walk. I jest and Ranok smiles, almost smitten by my words. Just as I am about to let go of him, he takes firm hold of my hand. I try to contain a blush as we walk into the trees hand and paw. We walk from the cottage with no soul to be found, as everyone is hidden from the rain. I can see that the soggy fur isn't a sensation Ranok enjoys, and I begin to think it's a shared sentiment among his kin. Despite his clear discomfort, he walks with me, a joyful gait to his step. I can see he is happy for me, happy to do something to help me feel better, and I cannot be more thankful. Everything smells so fresh and new, and I take it all in. Eventually, we leave the thicket surrounding the cottage and enter a large glade dotted with dandelions. I laugh, letting go of Ranok's paw and simply spin around. Despite how gloomy this day is, the meadow looks cheery and bright with each golden flower glimmering like a star in the dark. There's so many of them, it's so beautiful. They're just weeds. He scoffs in amusement. There's nothing prettier than a yellow flower on a rainy day. I look up, closing my eyes and allowing the raindrops to wash over my face. I bring my hands to my brows, clearing up the excess water with a laugh. This is wonderful. It feels so invigorating and cathartic, almost as if the taint of darkness was being washed away from me, and I was cleansed of all my worries and troubles. I notice the wolf looking at me with dreamy eyes. He seems truly glad to see me this way, even though his ears are flat and tail tucked. He's enduring this for my sake. I laugh again as I approach him and grab his paw. I tug one more time, pulling us into a sprint. He doesn't ask why, and simply matches my speed as we run through the glade, blades of grass sloshing at our legs and joint laughter filling the air. I see the mist rising with delicate sun shafts piercing through the clouds every now and then, bathing us with speckled light. It all seems like a dream. What brought this up? He tugs at my hand for attention, and I look at him with a wide smile, just blinking away the rain. Although we come to stop, I still slowly wander around in place. You're practically beaming. Did you remember something? The wolf asks with clear hope in his voice. No. I chuckle. But I will remember this. I stretch out my arms, simply enjoying the moment. Ranok opens his muzzle in surprise, but quickly smiles boldly, approaching me with purpose. I can give you something else to remember. And before I can even react to the statement, the large wolf rushes at me at full speed. I do not have a chance to duck as his paws envelop the back of my head and spine. He tackles me and pins to the ground, his embrace cushioning the fall as I release a loud oof. The only discomfort I feel comes from his crushing weight pushing me deep into the wet grass. Ranok! I yell out, and before I know it, he starts to roll us. Hey, yo, hang on. I just got, like, a notification on my phone from, like, YouTube, so I'm gonna check something real quick. And holy fuck. It's epic. Okay. I yell out, and before I know it, he starts to roll us. The world spins around as I gasp for air each time I'm above the grass. I hear the wolf laughing, his deep voice rumbling inside its chest, and I just join his glee. Everything smells like the forest dew, his wet fur gently slapping my face on each rotation. Suddenly, he releases the embrace and allows the force of our last roll to throw me off into the grass. I land on my back, hands stretched out, almost touching his paw, as we lie next to each other, breathing heavily. I gaze into the sky, seeing as the rain slowly lets up and the clouds begin to part. I smile, noticing the first signs of a rainbow forming, the colorful arch stretching out just in front of us. You were right. The wolf croons in the afterglow of our frolic. Rain can be nice. He smiles. Anything can be nice when you're around. I catch myself exhaling in utter bliss. The wolf blinks at the statement and turns to face me. You really mean it? He asks in disbelief. Of course. There isn't a shred of doubt in my mind. Ever since I woke up in this strange world, Ranok has been at my side, always supportive and encouraging. He keeps my darkest thoughts in check, and my empty mind slowly fills with memories that I wouldn't trade for those I've lost. You are my anchor, my safe haven. I admit, giving him an encouraging gaze, and I can see he's struggling to hide his emotions. I mean it. When we first met, with you tied up and bruised, and then stabbed, I thought you would never say never. I interrupt him. No point for us to relive any of that. We're here and now. Right? I look back to the rainbow filled with unexplainable hope. I search for a distraction, but instead I've got a reminder. No matter how heavy the storm is, eventually the sun always comes out. One just has to simply weather it, and I fully intend to. I smile, holding down tears, looking at the wolf beside me. He's admiring the colorful arch as if he has seen it for the very first time. I bet in his highly structured life, it's easy to lose sight of the simple things. I'm glad we got to share this moment together. Wouldn't anyone trade it for an unknown? Would anyone trade it for an unknown? Can't speak English. Thank you, Ranok, for everything. He simply nods. I close my eyes, and for the first time I truly allow myself to enjoy the present, just as he told me to do the very morning when I was stabbed. Despite both Varissa and Vol calling him a fool, he has the wisdom of the heart, and I find myself trusting it more and more. If I have a compass, it is pointing at him. I might be really falling for that wolf. We spent some time resting in the glade, not really talking much, but just enjoying each other's company. The sun came out in full force, caressing us with warm rays and drying out the rain. I could stay here forever, but eventually we get up, deciding it's time to head back. We walk towards the cottage, laughing and pushing one another in a teasing fashion. Despite how wet he got, Ranok's mood seems to be soaring. Well, that was quite fun. I nod as he helps me up the window. Again, his paws wrap around my butt, but this time I rather enjoy it. Don't slip. I watch, nodding. I nod, watching the wolf rush off into the distance. Ain't risking it. I ain't risking it. As I slide from the wet lodge, my feet cause a splash, and I notice that pretty much the entire bedroom is flooded. A shallow puddle formed, reaching all the way towards the bed. I simply fetch one of the buckets from the kitchen, noticing Ranok enter. He's dressing up again. Right, I've got to see my father real quick to deal with a few things. But it's all wet. Well, I can't very well see the chief just in my pants now, can I? I guess. I chuckle, seeing the wet cloak slap against his back. Hang on. Poor wolf. Don't worry, I'll be back in a moment. I nod and bring the bucket back to the bedroom. I use one of Ranok's old loincloths from the chest to soak up all the water and wring it into the bucket. It doesn't take long to get the room dry again. Once I'm back in the kitchen, I decide to prepare the fire. The wolf is completely waterlogged, and I bet he will enjoy having some warmth once he's back. I take a few pieces of wood and secure them in the hearth. I also retrieve the fire striker along with the flint and some kindling. Mimicking the wolf, I attempt to get the fire started, but with little success. No matter how hard I try, I cannot figure this out. With a perfect timing to notice my failure, Ranok enters the cabin looking at my efforts with amusement. He just stands there, resting against the doorframe and silently judging me with a smug smile on his muzzle. I keep striking at the flint in growing frustration until I give up and look to Ranok with mild annoyance. What? You're only building a fire, not inventing it. He chuckles, leaving a sizable bag on the table and approaching me. The wolf kneels, embracing me from behind, his paws sweeping on both sides. Here, let me help you. His cold, wet fur brushing against my back in stark contrast to his warm breath enveloping my neck. I swallow heavily as he takes charge of my palms, warm beans pressing against the back of my hands. It only takes him 2 strikes to get the sparks going, both literally and figuratively, as my heart begins to race in mild excitement. He gives me an amused side-eye, most likely picking up on that slight change, as he presses harder against me. His muzzle leans in seductively, almost brushing my cheeks as he blows at the small flickers hiding inside of the kindling. I shiver as his chest expands, pushing slightly against my back, allowing him to huff and puff. If I'm a little piggy, then he did blow the roof off my house for sure. The flames rise with each of his breaths, slowly enveloping the wood. We stay this close only for a moment, but it feels like an eternity. And just like that, as if nothing happened, he lets go of me and stands up. We should dry up before we get our little feast started. I nod, glad that he knows when to stop pushing my buttons, and that he's kind enough to spare me the awkwardness. He begins to... Ain't risking it. He begins to undress, and I help him strip down to his loincloth, spreading his gear near the hearth so it dries up quicker. For me, getting rid of the water is a trifle, just a towel and a few runs up and down my naked skin. But the wolf, that's another story entirely. He has a hard time drying up his fur. I now see why he hates the rain so much. I decide to help him out, rubbing his body with the towel, soaking up all the moisture from his back, which he cannot reach on his own. He seems rather pleased being serviced like this, simply allowing me to do most of the work while he stretches out and tenses his muscles. He's teasing me again, but I don't mind. I'm happy to help him, and seeing his tail wag in joy is my own reward. Once he's dry and slightly puffier than usual, I chuckle and look at the hearth. So, what are we having? Rabbit stew. He smiles, pointing to a small sack lying in the corner of the room. Caught it myself during patrol this morning. I grimace, realizing there's a dead creature in the bag. What is it? Please don't tell me you don't like rabbit. He pleads, walking towards a cupboard and opening one of the drawers. No. It's just, if you need to do things to it before it's edible, I better sit this one out in the bedroom. The wolf sneers, retrieving his spare pair of pants. Are you that squeamish? Don't worry. He huffs, struggling to put them on. It's already prepared. Oof. He issued another strained exhale, pulling the leather over still slightly humid fur must be rather unpleasant. Wouldn't do that in the house anyway. That's what butchers are for. You mean Volgor's side job? Funny you should ask. He's the one who prepared it. Was quite happy to do it too. You two are obviously getting along. He lifts up the bag and unloads the contents onto the table as I blush at his comment. There's a slightly bloodied linen bundle which most likely contains the rabbit meat, along with a few celery sticks, potatoes, carrots, a bushel of spinach, 2 garlic cloves, and a small purse. I look at the little pouch with curiosity. What's in it? Lentils. He responds, seeing me eyeing out the entire assortment. We go easy on the veg in our stews, but Versa told me humans are pretty fixated on their greens. That we are. I smile, nodding, while the wolf approaches the hearth and pushes up a lever on its left side. This causes a chain to emerge from the chimney, hanging down with a metal hook on its end. Ranok uses it to fix a sizable cauldron within the fire, while I decide to help prepare our meal. He provides me with a knife and I begin cutting the celery, cubing potatoes, and carrots. Don't cut yourself. Sharpened it this very morning. He winks at me coyly, and I almost do exactly that. Dickhead. I call out as I graze the tip of my thumb. The wolf erupts in laughter as I flap my hand around. I quickly bring the finger to my lips to kiss it. Note to self, never entrust Salen with sharp objects. Ha ha, thanks for your concern. I grumble, still suckling on my thumb. You didn't cut it. And how do you know? Because I'd smell blood, silly. I narrow my brows in bemusement as I return to my task. House fills with an extremely pleasant aroma as he fries the rabbit pieces inside the pot. Once he cooks them to his satisfaction, he fills it with water and sets to boil. Gotta wait for the stock to get ready before we dump the veg. I nod. I must say, I wouldn't know how to even start with any of this. I envy you. You never cooked? I wouldn't say never, I can't remember, but definitely I wouldn't know how to make this into a rabbit stew. I point to the ingredients. Well, we'll make a cook out of you yet. Your egg and toast method was quite inventive. He winks and I smile. Ranok grabs 2 tankards and fills them up with ale. I want to stop him from getting me one, however, his happy expression makes me reconsider. He seems to be looking forward to us unwinding and despite the ale tasting like liquid nightmare, I decide to humor him. You said you don't eat at home, that you feast together. How, or better yet, why did you even learn any of this? Well, we spend a lot of time in the woods on patrols, quite often sent away for a few days if not weeks. He reveals, wetting his lips in the ale, and my stomach churns a little at the idea of him leaving me alone for that long. His eyes center on me, and it's clear he picked up on my distress. Don't worry, you won't be rid of me that easy. The wolf winks in a feign annoyance in hope of masking my ever-present blush. I'm responsible for you. I can't be sent off while I have an active charge. I cannot hide the relief that descends upon me when hearing this, and I simply take a happy sip of my own drink. But yeah, when away we have to cook our own meals. This, he points to the pot, this is pretty much basic stuff for pups. My expression turns, and although I retain the blush, it's now more out of embarrassment than as teasing. I don't remember what I used to do before, but I know I wasn't the most independent of people. I look at the bubbling cauldron, and it's becoming ever clearer that I wouldn't be able to do any of this. Forget the stew, I can't even start the damn fire. Seriously, don't worry, he mutters. My father promised me he will keep me within the village. It's all part of the deal, after all. I nod. Speaking of your father, what did he want? It was the other way around. Oh? I'll tell you once I know something comes out of it. It's a surprise. He grins at me slyly, and I wonder what he's up to. We sit like this for maybe an hour or so, just idly chatting. Ranok explains to me how his pack was tracing a bear this morning, not to kill it, but to actually see it. It took a lot of effort, but eventually they managed to spot the beast, which was quite a sight. Apparently feral bears are almost as rare as feral wolves, and he wanted to make sure the beast was safe and well. The tribe believes that the creature is a messenger from one of the Great Spirits, an omen of sorts. Are the Great Spirits your ancestors? No, not directly at least. He chuckles at my naive question. They are the spirits of the wild, feralkin ancestors. Oh, so you mean, like spirit animals? Yeah, I guess you could say that. The wolf nods, clearly amused by my lack of knowledge. Memory loss, remember? I poke at my temple, and he laughs it off. Fine, fine. There are 4 great spirits that our tribe worships. There are others, of course, but we only consider those 4 as the true guardians of Turnen. Am I saying that right? Yeah. He takes an idle sip, and I do the same. The great bear represents tenacity. Warriors who face overwhelming odds look to him for guidance. The great stag is a spirit of cunning. Those who have to rely on outwitting their enemies turn to him for help. The great wolf represents loyalty. I tilt my head in slight confusion. Loyalty? Not strength or something along those lines? The strength of a wolf lies in his pack. We are familial creatures. To us, the bond between our kin is of utmost importance. You say that, but both you and Volt made it clear that siblings don't mean much. Yes, direct blood relations are of little importance. Our true family is the tribe entire. Ranok explains with quite a serious tone. Whenever facing turbulent times that seek to tear us apart, we turn to the Great Wolf for aid in strengthening our bonds. Huh, never thought of it like that. And finally, there's the Great Tiger. He says with barely hidden distaste in his voice. He is the spirit of strength. Those who require it beseech him for his blessing. I take it you're not a fan? Call it personal bias, tigers and I don't mix well. So I've noticed. I flash my brows in jest and the wolf laughs. I really don't want to get into otherkin politics at the dinner table. I'm sure I had a fair share of uncles ruining meals in the past. I don't need Ranok to join their ranks. But it is incredibly touching to learn that those wolf men treat animals with reverence. I know that's not exactly the case for humans, and it almost fills me with shame. I take a reluctant gulp of ale, looking to the bubbling cauldron. I guess the broth is ready. Let's add the rest in. He slowly adds the prepared vegetables, along with emptying the entire purse of lentils into the pot. I look at the bushel of spinach, not entirely sure what to do with it. In it goes. He nods towards the pot, and just like that, I simply put it in. I watch curiously as he stirs the contents, letting them bubble and mix. Check the cupboard. There should be a small white phial at the bottom shelf. I retrieve it for him, opening the lid and taking a sniff. It has an unmistakable dairy smell. It's cream. Oh, wow. He pours it in, and I just marvel as the brownish stew becomes lighter, almost matching Ranok's coat. Even the green leaves of spinach floating in it remind me of his cloak and eyes. I chuckle, as it's almost Ranok in edible form. What's so funny? You're a dish. I wink at him, which clearly catches him off guard. Whether he didn't get the play on words or simply got flustered by my forwardness for a change, I'm satisfied with the quip. Eventually, he just rolls his eyes in amusement and reaches up for a dried bushel hanging on the wall. I don't know how, but I immediately recognize it as thyme, and a smile stretches across my face as he drizzles the stew with the herb. I grab 2 bowls from the shelf above the hearth and set them up, accompanied by wooden spoons. We sit down again, waiting for the food to get ready. Another hours go by as we chat some more about his morning exploits, while the aroma of the stew slowly fills the house. He's very athletically inclined with a clear competitive edge. Apparently, he sparred with some of his pack members earlier today, sending them to the dirt 4 times before they gave up. He is very proud of his skills in combat, and it almost feels as if he's boasting to impress me. It's actually kind of cute. Eventually, Ranok brings a cauldron to the table and fills my plate. The smell is something absolutely out of this world. I wait patiently for the beast to set his own portion, and once that's done, I dig in. I pick up a spoonful and blow at it cautiously, trying to cool the stew a bit. When I have a taste, I'm at a loss. The stew is absolutely amazing. It's a medley of flavors I never tasted before and could not have imagined them going so well together. Ever since I lost my memory, I experience everything with doubled intensity, as if discovering it anew. There's plenty to rediscover, as this wolf is one mean cook. Ranok's tail begins to pat against the chair as he notices my satisfied expression between each spoonful. Do you like it? It's amazing! I gasp almost orgasmically, blushing at my own exaggerated reaction. Wow. He turns his gaze away, also getting flustered by the sounds of my pleasure. Seems I accidentally edged him, as his entire body tensed up. He pushes his legs together to cover his groin, and I get my answer. I no longer think I'm misreading things. This wolf seems to be into me, and I don't know what to do about it. I think I'll wait for him to emerge from his shell on his own terms. I don't want to push it and cause him to shut down again. He clears his throat and looks at me with a guilty expression. I'm glad you enjoy it. I really do. We managed to have only one more spoonful when knocking on the door comes. Ugh, I was assured we'd be left alone. He grumbles in annoyance, getting up and opening the door. It's Verissa. The white female rushes past Ranok and looks directly at me. Right, your father just informed us that the human will be at the feast tomorrow. Immediately, Ranok's expression sours, contrary to mine, which brightens up. I'll be able to leave the house tomorrow. I'll finally meet the tribe. Thanks for ruining my surprise. It was your idea then? She gives him a baffled look. I asked him to consider it. Salen was getting incredibly lonely here. So your solution was to throw him to the wolves? Literally. I chuckle. It's not funny. Not every wolf hangs himself on a technicality. Ranok might have made you his ward, but that's no guarantee of your safety. No one would dare touch him. Not if we maintain our pretense, but that's going to be much harder with him out and about. Tano is on his case since the meeting. He's practically obsessed with the human. We can handle Tano. And you're willing to bet Salen's life on it? She asks, and Ranok's ears fold back. He's clearly troubled, and that makes me uncomfortable, but I can't stay here forever. I really need to get out of the house. I'm losing my mind here. Okay, do I still have the folder? The folder. I do not have the folder anymore. What the fuck is Oramo? That's a, what? Oramo.exe, what's that? Okay. It's cooking with Ranok time. You can lose your head if anyone finds out you can understand us. I fall silent, knowing that I don't have much arguments to counter her. That doesn't change the fact that I cannot simply be imprisoned in here much longer, and my sorrowful expression makes it perfectly clear to Ranok. We have to trust Salen. What? I'm as surprised as she is. We don't know when his memories will return. It might take a week or a month. He's not my prisoner, he's my charge. Keeping him locked up isn't right and only fuels paranoia. The only way to calm things down is to allow him some semblance of freedom, is to introduce him to the tribe. The sooner, the better. The female looks at me with concern and then sighs in annoyance, while I'm just incredibly touched that Ranok took our earlier conversation to heart. I hate it when you're right. But this is yet another gamble, on top of a series of bets we just made. I'm sure Salen can handle Tano. He's a smart beastie. Besides, as my ward, he will have me at his side at all times. Fine, but don't come crying when this will spectacularly blow open your muzzle. That's an easy condition. I'm rarely wrong about people. And nothing can go wrong. He shrugs, giving me a sly wink. I blush, overwhelmed by the confidence he has in me, but I'm not sure it's completely warranted. I'm slightly concerned by this Tano character. He seems to be putting pretty much all of them on edge, and I'm not certain what to make of it. Before I get to ask, I can see Verissa approach me. Anyway, I came to check your bandages. Oh, okay. I stand up, allowing her better access to my underbelly. Why are they all wet and green? She takes an idle sniff of my dressing. Is that grass? We went for a walk in the rain. A walk. She looks to the gray wolf with a slightly risen brow. Then why is he all covered in your scent? I stumbled and fell, and Ranok. I tried to help him up. Verissa sighs at our pathetic explanation. You are seriously injured. She growls at me. I'm not talking figuratively either. That stab, as well executed as it was, is still serious. You cannot be seen out and about rolling in the grass with a wolf thrice your size. I mean, seriously, Ranok, he's just a dumb kid, but you should know better. The female scolds us in a rather harsh tone. It was just a bit of fun. What if someone saw you? There was no one around. It was pissing rain. Ugh, now I need to change those again. On the upside, you might have opened your wound. The wound. A little bleeding would help sell this as something serious and teach you a lesson you desperately need. She pulls out new dressing from her pouch, placing it on the table along with the pinkish tincture. She kneels down and unwraps my bandages, slowly revealing the spot where Vol stabbed me. This is odd. She mutters in surprise, inspecting the wound. It's already closed. That's good, right? The wolf shrugs, taking an idle drink of ale. It's clear that my stabbing is still making him rather uncomfortable. When was the last time you saw a cut this deep close within 2 days? She asks him, but the male is not even looking in our direction. There's no oozing, nothing. I look down and indeed all I can see is just a reddish line in my side. It's already scarring. Guess Vol really knew what he was doing. I propose through a smile. No, you're healing too fast. It's almost unnatural. She pretty much confirms my suspicions. I knew there was something odd about how well I felt immediately after my fever. Despite this being a positive development, I get a nagging feeling there's something sinister behind it. What are you suggesting? Ranok sighs in annoyance, clearly uncomfortable with our conversation. I'm not suggesting anything, but it seems there's more to this human than meets the eye. She douses my wound with the pinkish solution, which stings a little, but at this point I'm used to it. Once she cleaned the spot, she starts dressing it up again with bandages. When she's done, she stands up, taking hold of my shoulders and looking directly into my eyes. You are gravely wounded. You must act it. No one can suspect you're fine. Especially now when we can barely even call it an injury. And no one can know you speak our language. She reiterates and I nod. I had the intention to spice up my wound from the very beginning. She nods back at me knowingly and proceeds to leave. Wait, would you care to have some rabbit stew with us? There's plenty to spare. The female looks back at me with a soft smile, then gazes at Ranok. At least someone around here has manners. Oh, Ranok's just fucking done. What would be the point in asking? I knew you would refuse anyway. It's the thought that matters. She looks back at me with an apologetic gaze, opening the door. I can't stay. I have evening patrol duties and my pack was left leaderless for the past few days on your account. I look confused to Ranok. She's also an alpha, just like me. Really? They're female alphas? She looks at me with surprise and chuckles, accompanied by Ranok's thundering laughter. What sexist backwater do you come from? Before I manage to respond, she leaves. Hope she didn't take it the wrong way. Don't worry, so far you seem to be more amusing than annoying to her, which is a good sign. Speaks much about you. How so? Neither she nor Vol warm up to people easily. I knew there was something special about you. I try to conceal my blush and we return to our meal. We spend the evening just chatting away, with Ranok indulging heavily in ale and talking of sparring and wrestling. He seems to really enjoy contact sports, which allow him to utilize his burly build. I don't mind his little boasts, they're clearly meant as flattery directed at me, but I can't help myself but to cool him down a little. I bet Vol gave you a run for your money on more than one occasion. He almost chokes on his beer and throws me an angry stare. I've bested Vol many times. He reiterates and I just stifle a chuckle, which only means that at least a few times he bested you. If you're such a wise guy, how about you and me have a spar and see who ends up on top? The wolf raises his brows challengingly, and I can see his tail flicker in excitement. I see what you're doing. It's a cute trap, but I'm not falling for it just yet. You really think that taking down a tiny piglet like me is going to compensate for Vol handing your ass to you? Oh, you! He slams his paws onto the table and stands up slowly, his form tensed in a playful manner as if he were about to pounce me. Nuh-uh! I shake my hands, laughing. I'm gravely wounded, remember? I point to my side, winking at the wolf. Ranok issues a subdued, seductive growl, which sends tingling shivers down my spine. Lucky little piggy. He sits down with a mocking expression, taking a long swig at his tankard. I must admit, getting to know him better and being able to tease him back is extremely satisfying. I feel that we began truly bonding, and whatever this is between us, I'm just glad to have him here, even if we're just friends. We return to the idle banter, teasing each other from time to time way into the night. I haven't had so much fun in a long while. The wolf exhales, emptying his third mug of ale, and I just laugh awkwardly. All we really did was eat dinner and drink. What can I say? You're good company. He shrugs, approaching the barrels and refilling his tankard. I try to keep his tempo, but so far only managed 1 pint, struggling with my second. Besides, if I wanted excitement, I'd be out with my pack. Speaking of, I have to head out early tomorrow. He states, sitting down, and I look up slightly concerned. Oh? My father arranged for a little competition. Ranok winks playfully. We're tasked with a hunt. There's a big black boar that has wreaked havoc in the forest. It's to be a centerpiece of tomorrow's feast. The pack that gets the kill will have a whole week off duty. I won't lie, that would be nice. I nod, wetting my lips, the bitter brew starting to grow on me. I know, right? A whole week with me. I bet you'll get sick of this muzzle within 2 days. I highly doubt that. I shake my head through a chuckle, while the wolf takes on a more serious tone. Either way, let's not sell the hide until we snag the beast. I think Tano is cheating. How so? We were meant to leave the boar to gorge himself undisturbed, but Tano and his pack were doing a lot of tracking lately. He stifles a growl. I think he kept tabs on the beast. That's quite underhanded, but no matter what will happen, I will cheer for the best wolf. I nod towards him encouragingly. And who's the best wolf, pray tell? Why, you, of course. My wolf is the best wolf. I muster a slightly seductive smile, which only causes the wolf to laugh it off nervously. In all fairness, I'm terribly excited about tomorrow. Also a bit daunted. You'll do just fine. He dismisses me with a paw. I'm glad at least one of us is confident. Verissa did spook me a little. She loves to overcomplicate things. I teased her about it a lot when we were younger. Oh? I inquire, finally tapping to the bottom of my mug. I used to joke that she was born gray but turned white due to her constant worrying. That's mean. I chuckle, imagining the female's frustration. Anyway, I'm sure you'll woo everyone just as you wooed me. It's hard to woo anyone with your mouth shut. I almost spit out my brew. Wait, when did I woo you? In your dreams? The only one doing wooing here so far is you. The wolf smirks, clearly enjoying that his jab has landed. Ah woo. He made a cute imitation of a howl, and it just made my imagination run wild. Aww. Do it again, but this time for real. I demand, tapping my hands on the table. What? Give us a proper one. Howl, like true wolves do. My request clearly put him on the spot, and he fidgets uncomfortably. I shouldn't. Why not? Someone might hear. So? Don't tell me you're not allowed to howl. Of course not. The male scoffs at me, but his expression quickly turns back into a troubled one. But they aren't meaningless sounds. They're messages. You have to have something to howl about. Oh. I mumble, not sure if I understand him correctly. Are you telling me you have nothing you'd like to howl about? I've got plenty. He scoffs again, this time with a determined look, and I decide to push my luck. Then I'd love to hear you howl. The wolf hesitates, and I'm almost inclined to drop it, not wanting to force him, but a flicker of his tail indicates that he actually wants to do it. Please? Fine, you're such a pup. He shakes his head and takes a deep inhale. I rest my elbows on the table, supporting my chin in my palms as I watch his torso expand. Ranok tilts his head back with his nose pointing at the ceiling. His muzzle puckers and a melodic sound resonates from deep within his throat. A sentimental feeling washes over me when I hear his voice reverberate across the glass windows. The howl echoes throughout the kitchen in a high-pitched tone, filled with joy and happiness. He's sending a message of comfort and bliss to everyone around him, and I swear I can hear it say I'm the luckiest wolf alive. I'm extremely touched, and I can feel the hair on the back of my neck rise up in response. I'm just sitting here, looking at him starry-eyed. Wow, that was utterly beautiful. I exhale, giving him a round of applause. Seeing he took my breath away, the wolf smiles awkwardly. Well, it was a pretty good day. He nods and I raise my mug. I'll drink to that. We clink our tankards and cheer. We continue chatting and drinking for a while longer, both teasing each other to draw another fit of laughter. Eventually, we get drowsy enough to head off to bed. Ain't risking it. If Ranok is to have any chance at the hunt, he needs to be rested. I puff up the pillows as he drops onto the mattress, patting a spot beside him. I'm quite surprised by the gesture, but I smile and oblige. The wolf quickly pulls me into a tight embrace, snuggling deep into his chest. I think he's doing it because he's quite tipsy, but I don't mind. I grew attached to this intimacy, and if a drink allows him more freedom of expression, who am I to judge? I drift off in my furry cradle within moments, hoping nothing will disturb my sleep. The dream I have is nothing short of a nightmare. Once again, I'm suspended in darkness, my body fading into oblivion. Why is this happening to me? My mind is bombarded by a maddening voice, thousands of whispers speaking as one. I've heard them before. Fail. I struggle at the first attack, almost breaking, but the choice of the word steals my resolve. I won't fail. I won't give you the satisfaction. All hope. I want to scream in agony, but without a body, I am forced to endure this in silence. Why do you keep torturing me like this? Fade. Again, I feel myself slipping away at the command. Each whisper feels like a seed of madness planted inside my head, inside my mind. The entity toys with me, and I cannot do anything but to surrender myself. I fade, just as told to do so, before any more agony pushes me beyond the breaking point. Hang on, I'm gonna, jump ahead a bit. Yeah, we're good. I swear to God, I love this game. Check something real quick. It was. It was nice. The whole, wandering in the rain part. That was nice. Anyways, I can't really say much else, so, stay safe, have a good night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.